here we go. Mayor Rogers, do you believe the town and village should become a singly governmental entity? Please give the 3 best reasons why or why not.
There are numerous reasons, but off the top of my head quickly, I think there are opportunities for a consolidated government where we no longer have to involve ourselves in intermunicipal agreements, like when Ulster County is asking us to provide them with water at the Government Operations Center. We don't need to go back and look and to see whether that agreement exists, whether that agreement needs to be updated. We should have one board making decisions. We don't need to paper these deals. We don't need to involve attorneys. We don't need to involve village attorneys and town attorneys, and spend time on those things that are just pretty straightforward. I guess a third reason is parades. I don't know how many times as an elected official in this community where we have to go back and forth between the town board and the village board, who's authorized this parade, who's going to pay for staffing. It's just along the same lines in terms of just like very straightforward stuff that doesn't need to be as complicated as it is. It's just like watering the flowers on Main Street. Who's paying for that? Oh, well, this year the town budget is going to pay for the driving of the gator. Oh, well, then we need to enter into an IMA so that the town can legally borrow the village's gator to water those plants. So what we've done subsequently is then the village just hires that person, and then we just alleviate that. It's just like all of this unnecessary, complicated layers of things that don't have to do with delivering essential services.
So I can certainly see where there can be some confusion, but these things all sound pretty minor, where like a phone call or an interaction could handle a lot of it pretty easily. And there was a time when we were talking on Friday mornings and kind of getting some of those things out of the way. But what I do see, based on what we've been going through, looking at consolidation, dissolution, consolidation, but what I've been seeing is that, in fact, there are places where we're already sharing a lot of services, and so we're managing that. But there are places when there's very unique, special requirements or needs that are specific to the village or the town. And I think it is a good idea to have a governing body that is paying attention to those specific needs. I mean, half of our residents live in the village and about half live out in the town, but they're very different in terms of density and the types of housing that's there and what the needs are. And what I've been impressed is to see that the village government has been able to focus on these needs and deal with things like good eviction clause, good cause eviction, I got that backwards, and landlord-tenant commissions and affordable housing way ahead of where the town was on any of that, because the need was there and they were able to take care of it. I think there's a need to have 2 governments focusing on the specific needs of the village and the town.
So the advantage of a consolidation agreement versus a dissolution plan is that you can include some of those staffing considerations so that it's not simply a campaign promise. Like if I'm running for supervisor and the goal is to reorganize the governments and eliminate one legislative board, the goal would be to still end up there, but how do we do it where we actually have a plan that doesn't get the community nervous or the staff nervous, and that is the benefit of a consolidation agreement versus simply doing a dissolution plan, even though at the end of the day, you're just trying to get to the same goal line.
Back in February, you were interviewed by the Oracle, and you stated that regarding whether you won or not in the Democratic primary, you may or may not pull the plug on dissolution. I was curious, do you still keep the stance, now let's move to consolidation, and why or why not?
Because I've clearly stated that I'm pro-government reorg, dissolution, consolidation, integration, and it will require a lot of intentional effort. It will not happen organically. It has to happen intentionally, and that's why I'm trying to be super crystal clear that it's something that I'm passionate about working on. I have not received that same feeling from the current members of the town board. I think even Amanda said tonight that she's comfortable with the idea of continuing with 2 governments.
I'd just like to say that what comes out of this exercise may point out places where there are opportunities to do things more efficiently and more streamlined. I'm wholeheartedly in support of that. I just don't know that we necessarily need to lose the benefit we have right now by having representation specifically for the village, because they have very specific needs that the town isn't taking care of. But the town is taking care of so much for everyone now. We've got one police department. That's already been taken care of. We've got one ambulance squad. That's already been taken care of. We've got one library. We've got one dog catcher. You know, we've taken care of a lot of it already. What we're getting down to is some nitty-gritty stuff. If we have two building departments, the work doesn't go away if we make them one. But they can work, you know, can they collaborate and use one printer? Okay, fine. Can we work better together if we're all in one municipal building? I absolutely believe in that. But I don't know that we can necessarily do the best job by having one entity looking out for all of the special needs that are in New Paltz.